Welcome everyone to this week's, or maybe more this quarter, IT and security debriefing here. Long overdue, long time not done, long time no see. So only the biggest things of the last 8+ weeks or so. So let's get started, because it was quite a ride, security ride. Starting with NameRec, the latest and greatest in Internet of Things. Forescout Research Lab and JSFO discovered 9 new, not 1, not 2, not 9 new vulnerabilities affecting 4 popular, like not one TCP, 4 TCP IP stacks used in millions of IoT, OT and IT devices, including, I think, an old version of FreeBSD. We had something similar a year ago. There was already IoT stacks like IP and stuff, full with security vulnerabilities, like basically where researchers don't look for a while, bugs and security vulnerabilities accumulate. So mostly here in parsing domain name system requests, potential to cause either denial of service or remote code execution, just what you want in your Internet of Things devices. Vulnerabilities, FreeBSD software, also I think an older version, high performance servers, millions of IT network devices, popular firmware such as Nucleus Net, I think Siemens maybe, used in critical IoT, OT devices, as well as NetX and IPNet. So yeah, is this report directly to download report, maybe that one. Colorful report. Yeah, so probably if you're working in this field, or if you were wondering, we make all this stuff up here, then there is some recap on TCP IP stacks and projects. In similar news, critical flaw found in widely used Netmask open source module. That is, of course, I think this was PHP, CVE 2021-28-918. And I'm not sure if widely used. Somehow the stuff that I never looked at and I never see somehow is always widely used, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Also, probably all the automatically configured and set up and Wix and stuff and WordPress stuff is probably using that, maybe somewhere in some plugins. Analyzed widely used open source components that discovered security vulnerabilities that leave hundreds of thousands of software applications vulnerable to attacks, according to that report released that other Monday. Group of 5 researchers found security vulnerabilities in Netmask, an open source library used in staggering 270,000 software projects, according to the report. The Flaw opens the door wide range of malicious attacks that could enable attackers to ferry malicious code into protected networks or siphon sensitive data out of them. Is this same here? I guess that is NPM. Private IP, is it? Anyway, whatever. Work on open source module uncovers another. All right, so it's like, yeah, interesting story. How did they discover that? So while they were working on fixing another vulnerability in the widely used NPM library known as private IP, that module, which was also widely used by open source developers, enables applications to block request forgery attacks by filtering out attempts to access private IPv4 addresses and other restricted IPv4 address ranges. And yeah, so by fixing another, it's like, oh, oops, we found some more. That's like, yeah, recurring theme somehow, the recurring theme on this channel. In similar news, remember this Intel Spectre meltdown stuff. First fully weaponized Spectre exploit allegedly discovered online. Because previously it was like, yeah, academic stuff, nothing too much to see. It's like, yeah, maybe exploitable or some proof of concept, but a fully weaponized exploit for the Spectre CPU vulnerability was uploaded to a malware scanning website VirusTotal last month, making the first time a working exploit capable of doing actual damage has entered the public domain. The exploit was discovered by French security researcher Julien Royssin. It targets Spectre, a major vulnerability that was disclosed in January 2018 previously on this channel. According to the website, the Spectre bug Yeah, we know that obviously that this is a hardware bug in Intel, AMD, and ARM processors could running inside bad applications break application vulnerability, which won the Brownie Award in 2018. One of the best security bugs. This best security? One of the best security. How can you call a bug best? Best bug? That is best. Anyway, so yeah, totally not amazing. Obviously, just so that you know, is this all? Except now, what's that disappear there? New Intel CPU vulnerabilities, also maybe more an academical one. Not only Spectre-like Intel CPU interconnects could potentially, allegedly, be exploited by malware to leak encryption keys and other info, according to this academic study. Finds side channel ring race hard to mitigate by existing defenses. Chip busting boffins. The introductions also become better and better in these news stories. The best names of name rec and Spectre-like, but also chip busting boffins in America have devised yet another way to filch. The choice of words becomes more interesting by the story. Sensitive data by exploiting Intel's processor design choices. Doctoral student Ricardo Carnella, master student Li-Sheng Luo, and assistant professor Christopher Fletcher, all from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, found a way CPU ring, delved into the way CPU ring interconnects work, and found that they can be abused for side channel attacks. If you really wondered, like, there probably should not be too much left to exploit, that is like, yeah, CPU ring interconnect is like, seriously, what? Things get really crazy and dangerously so. The first attack exploiting the connection on the cross-core interconnect of Intel CPUs. They write, attack does not rely on sharing memory, cache sets, core private resources, or any other specific uncore structures. As a consequence, it's hard to mitigate by existing side channel defenses. In the PDF, they presented the Usenix Security 2021 in August to be presented. Lord of the Rings, naming, right? Recurring theme. Side channel attack on the CPU on-chip ring interconnect are practical. It's like, yeah, increasingly scary world. In more simply getting scary, simply amusing world, AMD Zen 3 CPUs. AMD discloses themselves, hey, security study by AMD. Zen 3 CPUs vulnerable to Spectre-like attack via PSF feature. We had that right. We're just wondering, yeah, your fancy AMD thread ripping Ryzen stuff. It's like, yeah. The good news also, the bad news is called predictive store forwarding. This feature was added to AMD CPUs, part of the company's Zen 3 core architecture. Also, yeah, after Spectre and Meltdown, AMD, hold my beer, let's add something similar. But seriously, no company, of course, intentionally adds this. But you would also think, although of course years in development, the good news is some people benchmarked that, and disabling predictive store forwarding didn't really make much of a difference, if it even was even at all visible in the data. Although maybe the benchmark was wrong, correct me if you have new data, but so potentially maybe not much of an thing, especially as Zen 2 to Zen 3, 18+% IPC. Throughput increase and other things. So even with that, if overall the CPU was some 20 whatever-ish % faster, if it's then only 1%, it's like, yeah, hopefully they don't find too much more. But yeah, certainly kudos to AMD advising customers. Also, I think they published already Linux kernel patches to selectively just disable this feature for those who are playing along at home. In similar news, people always ask me, you criticize here so much your Linux that you use yourself here. In previous video and recurring Linux kernel security vulnerabilities. Have you tried FreeBSD? I said this before already. It's like, yeah, even more vintage legacy code. I'm more interested in more modern stuff. And here, buffer overruns, license violations, and bad code. FreeBSD 13's close call. The headline sounds worse than it actually is, because actually it's mostly about the WireGuard implementation, but this exposes mostly, from my part, like bad engineering communication and the general open source. People just eat it like consuming it like free beer without providing their part of doing research, testing, like we usually do on this channel. And because it was simply not reviewed enough. So the story goes, 40,000 lines of Float code almost made it into the FreeBSD kernel. And some company, the company behind PFSense, paid Matthew Macy to write a port WireGuard, the new open VPN implementation to the FreeBSD kernel, encrypted to point-to-point tunneling protocol. And he seemed, the writer, like a perfect candidate, already contributing to FreeBSD before and stuff. And then was it Netgate? So CEO Netgate, FreeBSD powered routers, contracted them to write this. I don't even want to, although maybe not the most amazing work, I don't really want to put too much blame on that name. But so they worked on that and checked this in and called it, yo, we are done, or mostly done. Here is this thing, it's amazing. And this only was mostly uncovered, as far as my understanding is, by the WireGuard developers themselves. So they thought like, wait a second, this is like, carries our name. Let's maybe better take a closer look. Like not like some shit like this happens. So the story goes, the WireGuard developers then, like usually working with Linux and probably having reference code for iOS and Android and stuff, took a look and it's like, oh my god, what the shit is that? Is the story of that. And so an unexpected commit raised the stake of Donnefeld, whose project would ultimately be judged by the quality, one of those developers of WireGuard, and identified numerous problems with Macy's code, but rather than object to the ports release, Donnefeld decided to fix the issue. So they pulled some weeks of all-nighters, there is a saying. So they like basically rewrote most of the code, like 90% plus, because it was so bad. Allegedly there too, it's like anyway, blaming their people. Although, I mean, if people deliver not the most outstanding work, but for me it's a little bit too much finger pointing. But, I mean, certainly contracting work and then delivering piling, burning house of cards there, it's this is fine. So code quality, sleep to mitigate race conditions, validation functions were simply returning true, like Sony's random P3 number. Catastrophic cryptographic vulnerabilities, piece of the working group protocol left unimplemented. Kernel panic, security bypasses, printf statements, deep in cryptocode, spectacular buffer overflows, and maze of Linux to FreeBSD if devs. But Netgate argued that Donnefeld has gone overboard with his negative assessments. Original Mace code, they argue, was simply not that bad. It's like, yeah, it's not that bad. That's fine. This is just our regular code quality. In any case, you probably want to take a closer look. That's probably all we have to say here. We have 21 topics today, so we have to move on. Oh, by the way, maybe I should have full screen sets and the tabs are not visible. Huh. Wayland's the future of stuff. In similar news, it came to my attention via my usual Twitter bubble there that Rust recently had a couple of security vulnerabilities, including 153, it's probably not yet released, so 2021-30-100-2062 standard library of Rust before 153. I think we could actually, do I have the latest version of Rust installed? Maybe it's 151. Double free can occur in vector from iterator function, freeing the element panics. I only wanted to include this here because a lot of people always like Rust. Yeah, for me, not the most readable language. Of course, we applaud here each progress in security, and certainly it is a huge progress. For my eyes, a little bit unreadable one, or not at least hard to read and parse and stuff. But anyway, I only wanted to shed here some light on, it's like Rust will solve everything. It's now getting into the Linux kernel, and everything will be amazing. Of course, they will not rewrite the whole Linux kernel in Rust anytime soon, the next 20 years to come or so. But people should always keep in mind, mistakes can still be made. So this is not the only one. So here are multiple double free, uninitialized memory buffer from key value reader. Also, this is, oh, what is this? Great. Oh, this doesn't have a Rust version. Here are multiple Rust 1.5, including the standard zip module, swap index, return uninitialized values of an iterator, return length that is too large, out of bounds, write to an iterator function length that's too small, double free, through and upon panic of map function, out of bounds, stack vector something, extend, if size hint is provided certain anomalous data, whatever that means. Anyway, I mostly wanted, I had here zip, this looked slightly, I hear so many news since I opened this some days ago. Anyway, because standard library, before you say, this is also, everything is on cargo and stuff, and then it's probably amazing until you take a closer look. And it certainly proves a reference point of just using some tool does not make everything amazing. You still need, it's still written by humans and fiddled around until Rust gives some diagnostic, and it's like, what the heck is even going on? And 8 hours later, hey, finally it works. It's like, yeah, except report an incorrect size due to integer overflow, zip, also more than once for the same index under certain conditions. Next, back and next are used together, could lead to memory safety violations. A lot of zip stuff here of same index, iterator, get unchecked more than once. Does not validate the return value from read, unsafe context, but could lead to a buffer overflow. So there's a null pointer dereference during, also before. Of course, a lot of the stuff is not core Rust. A lot of the stuff is like just some, what Diesel discovered. Yeah, also micro dependency, right? For so many reasons, not the greatest fan of Rust. The micro dependencies get a little bit on my nerves. And also the names, there is so much of Park, Diesel. As amazing as Rust could be, I think the micro dependency hell already in this early days of it leaves a bit to be desired. In similar news here, App Store update. People always say about Apple everything is amazing. Wait a second, we have something for that. Yeah, App Store pretends to be a silly platform gamer for children. Plus also App Store review, right? Totally amazing, reviewed by App Store employees there, by geniuses. They take all the care and time it needs at Apple to review the stuff, especially for games for children, for Plus. But if it set the VPN to Turkey and relaunched to become an online casino that even doesn't use Apple's in-app purchases, it's like, yeah, amazing, made for kids, for Plus. Recurring data point, just, yeah, it's just one of a million. There were previously other, all right, actually I wanted, now that I remember, I wanted to include some other scam stuff there. Some people who complain significantly about spam stuff of copycats of scamming users. In similar news, but have you tried Android? That certainly is much more amazing, right? And that's like, yeah, barcode scanner with 10 million downloads and infects users. It's like, yeah, app stores are amazing. Total amazing review. I wonder, a lot of this stuff in the App Store usually includes some label on my Samsung of scanned by app protectors, Google protect something. So it's like, yeah, Someone asks to use OpenSense for protecting your network home. Why do you ask? More comments, please. In similar news, PHP's Git server hacked to add backdoor to PHP source code. It's like in the state of open source project security. Latest software supply chain attack is like, yeah, software supply chain with PHP. I would actually not use that in any supply chain. Official PHP Git repository was hacked and code base tampered with. Malicious commits were pushed to PHP source Git repository maintained by the PHP team Git PHP net. In the meantime, they migrated, I think, to Git, GitHub also. I think, yeah, what is crazy, I never was particularly impressed with PHP already a long time ago. Also, yeah, I didn't even wanted to, can we go back there? But yeah, that PHP remains to be used to power 79% of the web of the internet is actually rather depressive, if you ask me. In similar amazing App Store and surrounding stuff world, not safe for work server designation. Here from Discord, community guidelines require all adult content posted on Discord to keep behind not safe for work gate. And new is now that Apple, is it even, I hope it is here. This is not even the, darn, probably did not really open the right thing here. But the news was that in, I think the App Store, Apple requested them to remove that. Let's see, what's this one is called? iOS app rating has been updated from 12 plus to 17 plus. Content restrictions may, also, yeah, content restriction for Discord stuff. No. I think they have to remove that even now. Maybe I apparently did not copy the right thing, but so much to App Store Bullet Garden, and yeah, you can't even have. I think they don't display it all anymore, or something of that. Sorry for copying the wrong URL there. In similar news, previously Facebook data leaked like all users and phone numbers, even of VIP people worldwide. Ireland now opens GDPR investigation. I wonder if the outcome will be, nah, Facebook didn't do it intentionally, it somehow just leaked accidentally, nothing to see here, the usual business-friendly investigation stuff. But we will see. Facebook's lead data supervisor in the European Union has opened a investigation into whether the tech giants violate data protection rules. With a leak data reported earlier this month of billions of users or something. Facebook has been contacted, did not provide a statement, but confirmed if the contact with regulators to answer their questions. Now, since the statement, we are cooperating fully with the IDPC's inquiries. Like, yeah, if you're wondering, is Facebook the only things like, yeah, scrape data of 500 million LinkedIn users? Isn't it amazing? This big social life and business stuff. It's like, oh, by the way, I have to shout this out. Thankfully, who thought this freaking stuff is a good idea? Who would you ever want notifications of the latest news of who would want freaking notifications of this stuff? I wonder if, by the way, Firefox has a global setting to fully disable this stuff. Anyway, 2 million records already leaked as proof. Personal, what have they updated? More than 780 email addresses associated. What? So now it's even more. Updated our personal data leak checker database was more than interesting. Used to find link profile script. So days after massive Facebook data leak made the headline, as seen just a minute ago. Seems like we're in another one. Also, yeah, security, right? Security, why do I've not shouted this out for 8 weeks because, oh man, it's just a daily basis. And why I'm so vocal here in this and the more main channel you probably want to share, like, and subscribe to spread the word, right? Because people always think, yeah, some tiny little computer stuff, some nice silicon to play with and stuff, but this has real world consequences. And with the decades, it's not like yesteryear, it's 30 years since IBM first PC, over 30 years even. And we have, the whole industry has developed a system of race to the bottom with the price and lowest quality, certainly due to largely Microsoft quick and dirty DOS and the stability nightmare that was Windows for decades, really questionable software quality, and that has shaped the industry, in my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong. And this needs to change. We base our lives, daily lives, personal and business, on computing devices more and more, and stuff is simply insecure more and more, and people do not develop solutions, the software and the systems with the necessary attention to detail and security. Even more, 60,000 computer systems exposed, I think, yeah, just some Facebook addresses, yeah, 60,000 computers exposed in Germany alone by the Microsoft flaws. They are the latest and greatest Microsoft vulnerabilities. That allows unauthorized users to access systems and Microsoft email software. Isn't it amazing email software, right? Industry-leading email software. It's like, yeah, want access? I don't need your password. You look trustworthy. That's fine. Head of the cybersecurity watchdog said on Wednesday some weeks ago. More than half of the vulnerabilities were addressed following the warning last weekend by the Federal Office for Information Security, but around 25,000 systems need still be fixed. Warning has worked, they say. Many Exchange servers have been secured by downloading patches. And yeah, the problem is this, we will have the same news another month, so don't forget to like and subscribe for that, because this is of course not the last security vulnerability. Thankfully I have that audio muted already. More real world results. Georgia emission system shut down after cyberware attack. Isn't that amazing? Basing our whole world on totally insecure systems. Nearly 100 business owners were part of an emergency Zoom meeting. Also, yeah, 2021 emergency Zoom meetings, with all centered around FBI investigation into hacker shutting down Georgia's emission system. Now investigating cyberware attacks that halted all emission testing. Previously, California motor vehicle registration stuff, polices, hospitals, universities, courthouses, government, parliaments, and the weekly list goes on and on. Go away. In similar news, computer giant, there it hits producers of cheap systems. Acer hit with 50 million ransomware attack. In case you're wondering, is it just police stations and hospitals? It's also computer giants. Acer has been hit with Revel ransomware attack, where threat actors are demanding the largest ransom to date, 50 million. Taiwanese electronics and computer maker, well known for laptops, desktop monitors, employs approximately 7,000 employees and earned 7.8 billion in 2019. Ransomware gang announced on their data leak site that they had breached Acer and shared some image allegedly stolen files of proof. In case you're wondering if that is a real thing. And hey, by the way, don't you want to upgrade your systems to something more secure, like FreeBSD or Linux? In similar news, Intel, Nvidia, and TSMC agree chip shortage could last to 2023. For all those who recently tried to purchase chips, integrated circuits, we of course snatched ourselves here a nice Ryzen 5950X to the only little over market price of €999. In the meantime, it's out of stock for weeks already, and increased the price to 1,150. Not to even, don't ask me for GPUs. Alleged prices there for Radeon SKUs of what was it, 500, 600 something, just add another $1,000, 1,500, 1,800, 900 is just the regular asking price. And unfortunately, according to this executives, it will continue for some years to come, which is certainly really annoying news for computer enthusiasts and content creators like us, and maybe you playing along at home. Companies reeling from natural disasters, massive demand from OEMs and consumers, of course, in this day and age, sitting at home and trying to entertain themselves in this freaking analog virus times. Chip shortage affects technology firms across the world. Multiple tech exits offered their own estimates as part of the usual public financial disclosures. Nasty estimates come from Pal Gelsinger, their new at Intel CEO, although they have their own, I mean, ironically, they're from them who just have the currently not most outstanding fabs there. They want to build new ones in the US, of course, backed with some massive government funding. Isn't always nice only building new fabs if there are some 100 millions pouring in from the government. But yeah, 20 billion plan to build pairs of factories in Arizona, and President Joe Biden's proposed 50 billion chip production infrastructure plan. It's like, yeah, maybe Intel also could have invested earlier and have freaking smaller process. It's not ready, but anyway, not set up. In similar news, even more consequences. Iran calls Natanz atomic site blackout nuclear terrorism. Apparently there was a blackout previously. I think they exploded that already. I think previously the Israel Secret Service was to blame, or so, Mossad or something of that sort. Maybe we should fact check that. Iran nuclear explosion. Now they apparently enriched Iran nuclear material to 60% or something. So yeah, 5 days ago hit by allegedly sabotage. Of course, you could always black out that yourself. Just, I mean, not presenting this. I wasn't there, so hearsay. If someone has fact checking there, of course they could also just hit the master switch for some PR stunt and blame some people. But previously there was also an explosion. Why do they say 4 days ago? This explosion was, as far as I remember, a year ago or something, or 2 years. Or is it 2020 also? Caused by origin something 25. 2020. We are wrong year. All is good. Anyway, so yeah, there is that. But of course, this continues of international espionage and terrorism. Meet the latest $1 billion Russian cyber company that the US says hacks for Moscow. And this is also, do not always take all this stuff as pure gold here as presented, because I find this partially strange. The hackers at Positive Technologies are wait a second, where does it even start? So Washington, what is the news? The Washington apparently has sanctioned Russian cybersecurity firm Positive Technologies. US intelligence reports claim it provides hacking tools and runs operations for the Kremlin. So I think there is like sanctions for 5 companies. List includes, so the list includes more. The most prominent Positive Technologies, and of all these companies, of course, I don't have first-hand knowledge there either. If someone wants to give me some, then my emails are open. But this particular company, Positive Technologies, are usually known as delivering breaking security news, Intel, maybe even AMD, microcode and other. And this is a little bit strange. This company is very good. They even write here, undoubtedly good. Where is it? I just started reading that somewhere. Yeah, here, undeniable good at what they're doing. And I find this a little bit strange because they are open, right? They're open with this stuff. Of course, maybe they do twice as much, but sanctioning the company also mean what sanction is probably traveling and finance and whatnot, something of that sort. It's probably like they probably give 2 cents of an F for that. Not that they probably would want to travel too much somewhere like the US or something, except maybe Black Hat conference and stuff. But sanctioning those people who publicly publish state-of-the-art security research is a little bit strange to me. Maybe the others on the list, maybe more Kremlin-centered hackers of some sort, maybe, I don't know them personally. But this particular, so this is a little bit, even MIT Technology Review, it's like, yeah, the wording of this is a little bit propaganda speech to me, especially in terms of this company. We can also quickly fact check that. Do we have copy and paste of that? Also, yeah, probably now we only find that. Maybe we go to their blog or something. What is the time even? I need to be a little bit careful of overrunning the time today. Yeah, we don't have so much, but we're mostly through. Yeah, here vulnerability. So this is vulnerability assessment. Yeah, US sanctions. What they even have an official statement that is amazing company deny groundless accusations made by the US Department of Treasury. In the almost 20 years they have been operating, no evidence of the results of positive technologies research being used in violating principles of business transparency and ethical exchange of information with professional information security community. Yeah, and in this case, I don't know the other cases, but in this case they are very well known, very well respected state-of-the-art research, and this is just propaganda bullshit as far as I can see. Of course, it can be that they have additional departments working closer with the FSB or something of that sort, or whatever the equivalent Russian government state agencies are. But otherwise, 4 bytes of power exploiting Linux kernel exploit. Recurring theme here, 2021. Which one is it even? Is that eBPF or something? Yeah, for a company who has a long track record of contributing state-of-the-art research and have been previously seen on this news card, this colors me a little bit suspicious of sanctions listing there of that sort. But anyway, GitHub in more amazing stuff. GitHub investigating. It's like due man. This is so hilarious. GitHub investigating crypto mining campaign abusing its server infrastructure. So apparently, code hosting service actively investigating series of attacks against its cloud infrastructure that allowed cyber criminals to implant and abuse the company's servers for illicit crypto mining operations. They, a spokesperson told, attacks have been ongoing since the fall of 2020 and have abused a GitHub feature called GitHub Actions. I think we had this previously in a previous news shout out of having a security issue of running arbitrary stuff or something. Maybe that's it, maybe it's something similar. Allows users to automatically execute tasks and workflows, and it's like, yeah, what if we execute some Bitcoin mining tasks and actions as not? Have a handful of dozens of free GitHub accounts and probably that. Dutch security engineer told the record at least one threat actor is targeting GitHub repositories where GitHub actions might be enabled. Involves forking a legitimate repository, adding malicious GitHub actions to the original code, and then filing a pull request with the original repository in order to merge the code back to the original. Like, yeah, 2021 mining bitcodes with Git pull requests. And last but not least, this is probably the last news for today. Fridays for Future. New threat to New York's clean energy goals, Bitcoin mining. We had this previously, Bitcoin. I'm personally not the greatest fan of this stuff. Mostly not used for real world stuff, mostly just eating energy because who is paying stuff with Bitcoin anyway? And mining farms in China, in wherever it is called, Iceland or wherever that was. Mining farms consuming energy like small companies like all of Switzerland or Norway or something of that sort. And the latest threat, and seriously, that is not cool as much as crypto coins and stuff. It's like, yeah, but maybe not destroy the environment while doing so. And this will not get better, right? This is an inherent protocol feature of blockchain and the hashing involved, so it's not like you can magically fix that. It's intentional of it requires efforts to compute this. But yeah, Finger Lakes power plant plans to ramp up energy-intensive Bitcoin mining if the state allows to proceed. Environmentalists warn dozens of fossil fuel plants could follow. So what happened a decade ago? The bankrupt owner of the Greenwich power plant in Dresden, seriously, like for those who are new to that, German city, but yeah, obviously all world cities copied in the USA, in the New World, New York, sold to competitive coal-fired relic for scrap and surrendered its operating permits. For the next 7 years, the plant sat idle on the west shore of Seneca Lake, a monument of the parent dead end reached the state's fossil fuel infrastructure. But today, hold their beer, Greenwich is back up and running as a Bitcoin mining operation. The facility hums with energy-hungry computers that confirm and record Bitcoin transactions, drawing power from the plant's 106 megawatt generators now fueled by natural gas. The mining activity is exceptionally profitable thanks to the 800% rise in Bitcoin price since last April. And in the case, all the people are still wondering why I'm not doing Bitcoin and why I'm recurring shouting out the massive environmental disaster that is Bitcoin. Environmental advocates view Greenwich ambitions, if left unchecked, as an air emission nightmare. It's like, yeah, 2021, not running a power plant in New York, no less, for the infrastructure, but freaking making money, burning gas, converting that into Bitcoin. That is just outright environmental depressive. That's it for this video. We somehow made it with zero drop frames. I don't know what's... this is not a regular thing for this failing DOCSIS. Speaking about infrastructure, failing Vodafone DOCSIS cable infrastructure, usually it's not as good, although only 3 Mbit. Speaking about drop frames, 50, 150, 120. Yeah, there's that. Also no USB dropout, thanks to downdating the BIOS to a non-broken Agiza version. Anyway, that's it for this video. As usual, I hope you learned something and take security and IT code quality more seriously. Somehow not the most comments today. How many people did we have tune in? Some people asked, yeah, we still have some people watching. I hope that was a somewhat decent summary of the last weeks. Leave in the comments below. Some people told me, where are the IT security news? Bring them back. For me, it's a little bit like, yeah, and more of that, and yet again. But maybe that's necessary. Maybe I should really do this. Some Friday or weekend shout out of the stuff. It's just, some of the stuff is just crazy, right? I mean, some of like Bitcoin mining in a previously shut down power plant, mining Bitcoins in GitHub, and even Rust is not totally secure. Anyway, I hope you learned something. Stay healthy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. More main channel there with more main content. Yeah, zero drop frames through the live stream, and now 600